player. What do you guys think these people are?
I know.
Like, you guys are looking for the wrong stuff.
Clearly. Stories to start your morning. According to reports, the Lakers, who have already fitted LeBron James and Anthony Davis for jerseys, are, quote, quietly confident they will sign Kawhi and then fit him for one as well. See, do the Lakers need to get Kawhi Leonard to compete for the title this season?
Absolutely. Yes. Get Kawhi whenever you can get Kawhi, but not only this year. If you want to compete for multiple years, if you want that torch to be passed from one great Laker to other great Lakers, the way we had seen every other decade since the last 6 years that we've been in, no, that's what LeBron James needs. And there's not a bunch of free agents available for this year. You need to spend that money on a max guy. There was only a couple max guys available. Get the #1 free agent in Kawhi.
When they traded for Anthony Davis, I sat right here on the show and said they don't have to eat, because we didn't know if they'd be able to open up max space, that they don't have to add Kimba or Kyrie or D'Angelo. We didn't even think Kawhi was a realistic option, or I didn't at the time, that they could do it by filling in a Seth Curry here, a Patrick Beverly there, a Danny Green there. But all those names are gone now, except for Danny Green. And Danny Green looks like he's trying to team up with Kawhi where he goes. And so the Lakers are now in a spot where it's going to be they either hit the jackpot or they crap out on free agency. So their need of a third superstar has been heightened by their passivity during free agency, waiting on Kawhi to make his decision. He gonna make his decision today, see?
No. No decision today. No decision before 4th of July. I'd be shocked by that.
Okay.
Moving on to the Celtics now. They signed Enes Kanter to a 2-year, $10 million deal. He'll look to fill the void of Boston losing Al Horford to the Sixers. Nick, you like the move by the Celtics?
I understand it, and $5 million a year for a one-way player like Enes Kanter makes sense. He is a very good offensive player. See, you bring up the concern when though Kimba's your point guard and Enes Kanter's your center, is not a lot of defense up the middle of your team, so to speak. But Celtics fans, I know you're all in your feelings and mad things have gone awry and you're now building around Jason Tatum like I told you would end up doing. But stop pretending like Al Horford plus Kyrie plus Anthony Davis wasn't the plan, and stop pretending like Kimba plus Kanter is a good substitute for what you thought was coming.
Yeah, they're going to struggle defensively. You mentioned that Kimba, not a great defender. Enes Kanter, we have seen. Joel Embiid still in the East, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Same with the reigning MVP.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Moving on to the Knicks now. After their big name signing of Julius Randle, they've gone on to add Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, Reggie Bullock, Wayne Ellington, and Elfrid Payton. See, what's the Knicks offseason blueprint here?
Well, their blueprint going into free agency was this. Try to land KD. Try to land KD either with Kimba or #1 option was with Kawhi. Kawhi had told them he was going to take his time. KD was going to make a quick decision, and the Knicks were not going to give Kyrie Irving a max contract. So once the KD decides he's going to go to Brooklyn with Kyrie because they couldn't come to New York, this was the plan. Sign Julius Randle as the best player on the Knicks. Give him, after a 21-9 season last year, shooting 34% from three-point range, have him an offense surrounded by him with guys who you can get off their contract within 1 or 2 years. And that's the way I believe that they spent the money, as wise as you could do after you miss out on KD.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for the people who run the Knicks. I'm talking about ownership. I'm talking about team president, GM. I think they're sharp guys. My advice would have been slightly different than what they did. I like the Randle signing. They can get, after 2 years, it's a team option. That's when free agency opens up again, and he is a good player. Those other signings, rather than spending cap space there, I would have tried to take on other teams' contracts, similar to what Memphis did with Andre Iguodala. Take on that money and get a pick associated with it. So you can fill out your roster with legitimate NBA players, but guys that are overpaid, and get extra picks like you have from Dallas. So you have your own picks, Dallas's picks, other picks. They went another way because they're trying to be as competitive as possible this year. I wouldn't have done the Reggie Bullock 2 years, $21 million, Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis deals.
All right, let's end with Anthony Davis and his recent decisions to put success and happiness over money. AD passed up the chance to sign a supermax deal with the Pelicans. He turned down his $4 million trade kicker to create more cap space on the Lakers. To the brow, it was simple, saying, quote, money comes and money goes, but your legacy is forever. CC, what will be the biggest challenge for Anthony Davis in L.A.?
Anytime we see an athlete make this type of change, come from an environment with the Pelicans, only one he's experienced in the NBA, potentially going to a big city, a big-time franchise, and also all the different optics that will be on that player, you expect some time to be able to adapt to that new environment. LeBron took some time to get adapted to his teammates. I think Kevin Durant made the quickest transition and the smoothest, going from OKC to Golden State. I believe AD's transition, it won't be like some other players because he is going to a city he's very familiar with. The last several summers, he's made his home in Los Angeles. So finding his way around the town, this is where he wanted to be, and his skill set. Because he is the most skilled big man that we have in the NBA. And the other superstar is LeBron James, the most unselfish superstar that we've ever seen play in the NBA. So it is a fit made in basketball heaven. You can post him up on the box. He can get numbers there. He can bring his guy out into space, either take him off the dribble or be able to shoot an intermediate or be able to step back behind the three-point line. And you know that he's good as far as the NBA pick and roll because his overall athleticism, his ability to be able to shoot, and his ability to be able to pass and play make. So I look for this transition to be a lot smoother than some of the other superstars when they've matched up with each other. When there was, I mean, this guy's got to get a certain number of shots. I had to get a certain things out of other players on the court. With this roster being wide open, LeBron James experiencing failure in year number 16, I know that he's wide open to be able to adjust. Even him deferring, I'm going to allow someone to have my number and go to another number. LeBron James sees what's going on. And I just believe that LeBron, regardless of what people say, he's been one of the better, great player teammates that we've ever seen. We won't give him credit for that, but we've had people sit on this show. I know people that have been teammates with him and say, man, LeBron James is in a class by himself as far as being a teammate. And
there's no positional redundancy, which is one of the things you're talking about as far as ease of transition. He and D Wade were played, he for the Cavs and D Wade for the Heat when they were on separate teams, did the same thing for their team. They were the guy that initiated the offense. They were the scorer. They were the go-to guy in the fourth quarter. When they came together, that first year, it was a your turn, my turn thing. And it took the failure against the Mavericks and D Wade's selflessness to just say, even though LeBron wilted in those finals, hey, you're the best guy. I will take my clear secondary role. Bosch will take his clear tertiary role, and we will go from there. They're not going to have, and he and Kyrie also went through that, where Kyrie used to having the ball in his hands. That, I know he can play outside a little bit, but he's going to play on the block. LeBron's going to be bringing the ball up for the most part. But for Anthony Davis, he sacrificed millions and millions of dollars. I don't want us to throw away that $4 million trade kicker. He did not have to do that. He could have given some of it back, none of it back. He gave all of it back. And the idea that, oh, he's getting paid under the table extra in Space Jam, nonsense. He's been on the books for Space Jam for months. Those contracts have been done for months before he was ever a Laker. He gave that money back. Why? The same reason he forced his way out of New Orleans. Why? Because he wants to win and play in meaningful games. Anthony Davis has played in his career 5 games past the first round of the playoffs. 13 total playoff games. He's only won 5 total playoff games. For Anthony Davis, this is about what he can do in May, a month he's never played in. What he can do in June, a month he's never played in. And how he can lean on LeBron in those moments where he is facing a level of pressure and scrutiny he's never dealt with. I think it will work out for him. But the only way this works out is not if Anthony Davis is league MVP next year, is if Anthony Davis is in the NBA Finals next year or the year after.
Just quickly before we break, does any of this change with Anthony Davis's role or his happiness or ball distribution or whatever if Kawhi Leonard joins this team?
Anytime you add another superstar, it's no different if we added another person to talk on TV. You got less time to talk. You got to be able to share the ball. But the still thing about it, you can still be great. I know when we added Randy Moss, I knew there's going to be less receptions, but you can still be great. You can be effective, be great without the, that's what Dennis Green used to challenge me, be great without the football, Chris. And that's what these guys can do. They're great defenders. They've been great teammates. So I believe LeBron James, he will evolve into the latter years of his career better with these two players. But, of course, there's less to be able to go around, but it's a good problem to have.
But if Anthony Davis was worried about that, he wouldn't have given the $4 million back. Because he doesn't give the $4 million back.
Cap space so they could land.
Exclusively, not so they could just have cap space, so they could land a max guy. If he doesn't give the $4 million back, then they're in the market for these other players, the role players. He gave it back knowing they are going after Kawhi because he wants to win.
That's a good point. All right, coming up, can Kyrie carry the Nets in year one with Durant sideline? That's next on First Things First.